This is an easy step-by-step tutorial on how to do a crochet wine bag. I'm going to be using a 4.5mm hook and some cotton yarn size 4 doubled up. We're going to start with a magic circle, however it is you do that. And I'm going to chain 1 to start row 1. Now I'm going to do 10 single crochets into the circle. 1, 2, and I'm going to close this circle by pulling on the 2 strands that I have left, pulling them tight. So now I'm going to do 1 slip stitch onto the first stitch. So it's gonna be this one here. It's gonna be tight right now because I've closed it off. So I gotta push my hook, pull through, and do a slip stitch. And that's going to close my circle. I'm gonna pull these down a little bit more. And that is the end of row 1. For row 2, you wanna chain 1 and do 1 single crochet into that same stitch. And we're going to place a stitch marker into this stitch to mark the beginning of the row, because from now on we're going to work in the round. So row 2 is just 1 increase into each stitch. So that means 2 single crochets into the same stitch. So that's 1 that I've just made, and this will be 2 into that same stitch. Now I'm going to go to my next stitch and do 2 single crochets into it. And I'm going to repeat this in every stitch around until I get to that stitch marker. Okay, and I'm at the very last one here for me. Currently I have 18 single crochets and I should have 20. So this is my last 2 here. And I'm brought back to where my stitch marker is. So into it, I'm going to do 1 single crochet to start the next row, to start row 3. And I'm going to put 1 stitch marker there again. So that's the beginning of row 3. And I'm going to do 1 single crochet, increase, 1 single crochet, increase, 1 single crochet, increase. So that's my first stitch with just the 1 single crochet. Now I'm going to do an increase in the next one. Now I'm going to do 1 single crochet. Now an increase. And that's the repeat for the end, or for the entirety of row 3. So here I am at the end of row 3. For row 4, I'm going to do 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches and then an increase. So we're going to start with 1 single crochet. And now I'm going to put my stitch marker back to remember that that's the very first stitch of this row. And you're going to do 1 single crochet into the next stitch. And onto the third, 1 increase. And that's the repetition. You want to do 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then an increase. Now we want to repeat this all the way around to finish row 4. So this is the end of my row 4. So now I'm back at the stitch marker. For row 5, you're going to do simply 1 single crochet into each stitch. Remember, for this very first one, you want to place your stitch marker so that you know where you begin and end. And now you just can do 1 single crochet. Okay, so this is the end of my row 5. And essentially what that's going to do is it's going to give you enough circumference for the wine, but also 1 row of kind of cushion for the base of the bottle. For row 6, you want to start by chaining 4. you're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and onto the third, you're going to do 1 double crochet. From now on, you're going to do a chain 2, skip 2, and a double crochet. And that is your repetition. You're going to do chain 2, skip 2, and onto the third, do 1 double crochet. And there you go. You're starting to create the net. Chain 2, skip 2, and onto the third, 1 double crochet. Okay, so I'm almost at the end here of row 6, and I have 1, 2, 3 stitches left. So I'm going to chain 2, skip 2, and onto the third, do 1 double crochet. So now you want to do a slip stitch onto the second chain from the beginning of this row. So essentially, you know how you did it for a chain 4. So on the second one, 1, 2, you're going to do 1 slip stitch. So this is going to be the back of your bag because you're going to have kind of 2 double crochets next to each other. That's how you know you finished the round. So for row 7 and every row moving forward, you're going to start with a chain 4. You're going to skip that chain space, and on top of the double crochet, you're going to do 1 double crochet. Now you're going to chain 2, skip 2, and on top of the next double crochet, do 1 double crochet. And that's the repetition you want to follow. You're going to chain 2, skip 2, and onto the top of the next double crochet, you're going to do a double crochet. You want to repeat this all the way around and finish it off just like row 6, where you're going to do a double crochet and slip stitch on top of, or slip stitch onto the second chain from the beginning chain 4. Okay, so if like me, you are wanting to work with multiple colors, I've cut my yarn. I just finished this round and I cut my yarn. So now on to the chain 2 that I slip stitched into. I'm just gonna grab the new yarn and pull it through. Not sure this is the best method there is out there, so if you have a different one, please feel free to do so. I'm just gonna leave a long tail so I can actually weave it in later. And now I'm going to start my next row like normal by chaining 4 and continuing this row with my new color. So now just continue to work the body of the bag until you have the height that you want. I'll obviously compare it to my bottle to see where it is that I want to end, and I'll let you know how many rows I worked in the end. All right, so here I am at the end of row 17, and as you can see, I have 2 colors for my bag. So now I'm going to start the strap. Now, if you're only working 1 color, then you can disregard my following instructions. For me personally, I want the strap to be in my 3rd color. Let's grab it here. So I'm going to do the same thing I did to swap to the 2nd color. I'm just going to bring it into the chain 2 that I finished in, and I'm just going to pull my yarn through. And I'm going to start the strap. For this, you just want to chain. Personally, I chained 93. That's how long I want my strap to be. If you want it shorter or longer, feel free to adjust the number of chains that you do. Okay, so here I am. I've chained 94. I'm gonna have to zoom out to show you this. Don't mind my computer here, but essentially you wanna make sure that your chain is not twisted when you attach it to the other side. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Second thing to keep in mind is that you have attached on this side here. So if you just lay it flat, that's the easier way to see where you gotta go onto the next side. So for me personally, I'm gonna go into this pillar, this double crochet. And so for that, I've laid out my chain so that I make sure that it's not twisted and it goes kind of like around like this. That's 1. 2, I gotta make sure that my working yarn is kind of behind it so that I can work with it, no problem. And now 3, I'm going to insert my hook on top of the double crochet that I've selected to go into and pull the yarn through to connect it. So there we go. Now I'm going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and I'm gonna go on to the next double crochet to my right over here. I can actually zoom into this part now. So after the chain 2, I've gone into the pillar, the double crochet, and I'm gonna do just a slip stitch. Let's see here. You'll understand why in a minute, because the handle that we're gonna work is gonna be the width of essentially 1 square. So now we're going to chain back along the chain, along the handle, I guess, and then do those squares. So you're going to chain 2. Now you're going to skip 2 from this chain that's connected. So I'm going to skip 1 and 2, and onto the third, do a double crochet. And that's the repeat I want. So you'll see it's now connected along the side, and now you want to do chain 2, skip 2, and onto the third, do a double crochet. This way your handle is the exact same design and shape as the rest of the bag. So you're going to chain 2, skip 2, and onto the third, do a double crochet all the way back. And I'll show you how to end it once you've come to the other side. Okay, so I'm coming to the end here, and I have 5 chains left. So I'm going to chain 2, skip 2, and onto the third, do a double crochet. Which means I have 2 chains left. So I'm going to do a chain 2. Now I'm going to connect it to the next double crochet over here with a slip knot. And there we go. It now looks just like an extension of the row upwards. And now you can cut your yarn and thread it through to finish your bag. You cannot tell me this is not the most beautiful bag you've ever seen.
Look how beautiful.